Hello and welcome to another player profile and projection. Today we are doing Gerrit Cole, starting pitcher extraordinaire. Ace of the staff, raspy voice, high stake, loving dude. This is Talkin Yanks, brought to you by DraftKings, and my name's Jimmy, and his name is Jake. You excited to talk about Cole?
Player profile and projection on Gerrit Allen Cole. I am, man. It's, ace of the Yankees. Big old contract. Him and Amy, they're popping out kids. It's, he's the guy. He's the dude, man.
He's the dude, man. Cole is an exciting one. I mean, last year, Cole had a 2.84 ERA, which sub-3 ERA is pretty good. Third lowest ERA of his career in the shortened season, 2 complete games, 1 shutout. He got off to like a rocky-ish start, which we can discuss because we got to discuss that. I want to talk about his pitch usage a little bit. I want to talk about his mental makeup. I want to talk about the Higgy situation. I want to talk about some of the things that we didn't enjoy last season. And I want to preface it all by, like, he had a 2.84 ERA, and we like Gerrit Cole.
Yes.
So there's...
No, I think...
You're looking for frustrations, and you're really digging a little.
I think we need to make the overlying statement before we dive into the nitty-gritty that Cole came over, is expected to be the one, and he was last year. He did it in the playoffs. He did it in the season. It was a little bit of a slow start. There was some go-for-ball home run stuff. He really locked in. So... what we're going to be doing is diving in, because let's be honest, we could have done this PPP in a minute and said,
Cole's good.
One of the best pitchers in baseball, even in his worst year, as long as he's healthy going into the playoffs, we're bought in.
Yeah.
Like that. There's no way he's not the one.
Yeah.
You know what, Corey Kluber, make me eat my words.
Do it.
Oh my God, Corey, let me go.
My God.
No, I don't want to eat him.
He's got that, like, robot grip where, like, it's not even human strength, so your throat's just as ripped.
Did you see his smile pic the other day? I really liked it.
No, I didn't. I think I saw you tweet out that you liked it. You
Yeah.
said in the office you liked it, but I didn't see the
He had a
thing.
nice smile.
But we'll talk about that. Him.
Yeah.
I wanted to remind Yankee fans that, like, because this was something we had to remind ourselves. Through 8 starts last year, Gerrit Cole had a 3.91 ERA. Through 8 starts in 2019, he had a 4.17 ERA.
Yeah.
So it's very normal, but because it was a shortened season, everyone overreacted.
Got scared.
And Gary's getting a lot of blame about this now, when it's like, well, I mean, seems like he just kind of does slow starts every now and then. The rest of the way, he was pretty dynamite, kind of. He lowered it to 2.84. But the slow start, maybe, like, prep everyone for that again. Like, maybe he will have a couple in April and May. He'll have a couple where he's finding his groove.
With Gerrit, you can't have the jump to conclusions, Matt, out. It's going to be there by the end, as long as he's healthy. And yeah, man, I also think there was some fluky stuff tied to that, and that's why even when he was... At one point, he had given up the most home runs in baseball, and the ERA was higher than you'd like. But all the nerds, all the analytics, and everything pointed to, like, this is going to get better. And Higgy did tie into that, and we'll talk about that more. But I just remember, going back to those early starts, it always felt like he was 1 out away or 1 batter away from it being like that Gerrit Cole 6-inning, 1 earned, and then a guy on the Orioles clips him, and it's 5 2/3, 3 runs, and it's just that ruins your stats. So, and there's some stuff to that. I mean, in the 7th inning last year, it's easily his worst inning. He only did that 6 times, so I'm not gonna overly harp on that, but that leads to a couple of those examples, and we saw that a couple times. He kind of wore out, like, right at the end. You could see it.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's something to watch for this year.
That's something to watch for. The one thing I told you before and that I wanted to bring up, because it was a storyline between us at least, and especially me, was getting beat by the bottom of the order.
Yeah.
I remember we did on the show, we looked up, like if I pull up his home run log
Right.
from 2020, it's a bunch of 8 and 9 hitters.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, Jay Bruce got him last year. But I mean, Zunino,
Jim, you want me to get you real hot?
Kiermaier. And it was a lot of 7, 8, 9 hitters, it felt like, that were jumping first pitch fastballs because he was just throwing get me over first pitch fastball and they jump it. That's how Kiermaier got him. That's how Choi got him a couple times.
Jim, you're going to love and hate what I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
So on Baseball Reference, you can sort by the batting order positions.
Mm-hmm.
Leadoff hitters did pretty well. They batted 194, but they had an 802 OPS. So leadoff hitters kind of got them. Everyone else, you're looking at 457, 600, 700, 400. Except the 8th hole hitter. 8 hole hitters last year against Gerrit Cole had a 951 OPS. It's easily the highest by almost 150 points. And you could literally see it. Sometimes we get nervous when people say, like, we're not really baseball experts. We try to make it entertaining, and we know baseball a little bit. And you could see it. He'd just try to groove one by whoever was down there, and he'd get clipped, and it would just be this, like, what?
Yeah.
Like, snap one off, and we're good.
Mm. You want to know who the 8-hole hitters were that got him?
Sure.
Pedro Severino.
Huge.
Catcher for the Orioles.
Thick.
Scott Kingery. Nope. No. He blanked him.
Blanked him.
Dude, I think it's a lot of the Rays 8-hole hitters.
Yeah.
Kiermaier. Kiermaier was one of them.
Sure.
Jackie Bradley Jr. was one of them. Manny Margot on the Rays.
Escargot, my Margot.
Where are these hits? This is interesting.
Where are all these hits?
Kiermaier again?
Sure.
Fucking Kiermaier,
Double
man.
down.
DJ Stewart. Remember DJ Stewart hadn't hit a home run all
Right.
season. He hit 2 off of him or something like that.
That was fun.
Ignited him.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Send him to arbitration.
Hanser Alberto.
Hot.
So that was the biggest thing where it was like, hey, especially in the postseason, don't take these guys lightly. We know your fastball is really good, Gerrit, but sometimes these guys just sit on it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about Gerrit Cole is when he gets hit, he leads the league in a lot of categories for pitchers. He's 84th percentile for expected WOBA, 84th for expected batting average, 84th for expected ERA, 89% in K percentage, 82 in walk, 93 in fastball spin, 93 in velo, 87 in whiff. All great. Top of the list.
Yeah.
Exit velocity and hard hit rate, he's bottom because when dudes do square him up, he gets hit hard. That's why he gave up a lot of home runs last year. And it's because his fastball is a really good pitch. He throws it 55% of the time. Throws it a lot. So that's the thing you have to worry about is guys trying to jump that first pitch fastball or sitting fastball. And the bottom of the order guys, he's a little less delicate to.
And man,
that being said, he had a great year and he's one of the best pitchers ever. So I just need to keep reminding everyone we're picking.
we're going kind of heavy into the stats because, again, the Gerrit Cole story you guys all should know at this point. Jim, they show leverage stats, high leverage. And again, this was 14 at high leverage at bats last year in the regular season, but he held guys to an 0.71 batting average. Medium leverage, 614 OPS. Low leverage was the most he got rocked. So he's got a little bit of, if he's not in it, he's just going to throw that fastball, which, hey, again, you know, it's kind of a throwback pitching style, and his fastball is electric and works a lot. But we're looking to increase on the margins here. And there's some other funny numbers, man. 14 at-bats, over 100 pitches. He got rocked last year. That kind of ties into what I was saying before. You know, it's the only time guys had an OPS plus of 100 versus higher than 100 versus him, and it was like 285. So, again, we're diving into things that seem a little funky. He had 2 starts last year with 6+ days rest, and those had a 5.4 ERA. Everything else was really good. He likes his routine. And Jim, I'll do the splits really quick too. Lefties got him a little extra last year, so you'd like to see that come down just a little bit because we know teams can stack lefties, especially in this division a little bit. So watch out for that. Do we want to do the Gary Higgy talk?
Yeah, well, now that, you know, as we're recording this, obviously these come out a little after we record them, but I'm glad that we were recording the Cole one after the Boone presser where he said, no, we're not going to do a personalized catcher. Now, that's if they said at this point that they were going to do a personalized catcher, it'd be a really bad situation in my opinion. Like, oh my God, that's terrible. They're not starting the year with a personal catcher. Do we think it'll end there? In my heart of hearts, I think yes.
Okay.
I want them not to. The thing is, you're trying to bank on Gary having a comeback season and being a stud and hitting the ball hard again. And a lot of it's confidence driven. And you got to give him the shot to earn Cole's trust. And again, the stats that I put out there, he was poor in his first 8 starts in 2019.
Right.
Like, if you just give him a season, like, do I think if Gary stayed at his catcher last year, do I think he would have improved the same? Yes, very much so.
I think he would have improved. I think the difference was significant, and that's, the game that we don't know. I mean, I think in Gary's 8 games was 46 innings with a 3.91 ERA.
Yeah.
Higgy, it's 4 games. It's a much smaller sample, but Cole was disgusting. It was a 1 ERA. So it hit a point where, yes, it sucks, but what was happening, you almost couldn't stop it.
Well,
and the Yankees backed themselves into that
There was no
situation.
learning curve. There was no room for a learning curve. It was like, hey, if you had 4 more months with Gary, you think you could figure it out by the playoffs? And I think the answer would have been like, absolutely,
yes,
we'll get there. Okay, we only have 1 month left. Is it easier to just slide Higgy and you feel comfortable right away? Yes.
Yeah.
So I think it was a product of the shortened season more than anything else.
And that's where I'd spin it back to. I'm not bought in on the personal catcher stuff. I mean, I think the Yankees, between catching injuries, between off days and resting Gary and working in Higgy, and we'll see if Chirinos gets in the mix. That's a guy who's caught Gerrit Cole a few times. I think he's got 16 games where he's caught Gerrit Cole. I think you can juggle that through the season, but you need to be in a place going into the playoffs that Gary Sanchez, if he looks right next year, which, hey, that's got a whole bunch of question marks to it, but if Gary Sanchez looks anything like Gary Sanchez, even going to his back full season when he hit 232, but he was still one of the best hitting catchers in baseball, if you're in a game 1, if you're in a game 5, if you're in a game 7, and Gerrit Cole is out there, and Gary Sanchez is sitting on your bench, I mean, that's potentially just a huge waste, and you're putting your team behind. And I know the Gary haters don't want to hear this, but Gary Sanchez can be the Yankees' biggest advantage on a baseball field. No catcher can hit like he does when he is right. Now,
position scarcity.
Gary's got to be right.
Yeah,
and he hasn't done that a lot.
We'll do a full thing on Gary's PPP.
Add.
Gerrit Cole last year, Jake, recorded his 2 highest whiff percentages of his career per pitch.
Okay.
His curveball last year had a 48.6 whiff percentage, meaning, 50% of the time he threw his curveball, he's getting a swing and a miss. Is that what that means? Has to.
Math pod, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good.
That's the best he's ever had whiff percentage. His slider last year was a 43%. Also the best he's had.
Top 5 in Cy Young votes the last 3 years. He that curveball when it's working is pretty gross, and we did see that at the start of the year that he couldn't find the lane for it. It either bounced too early or it was too high, and then he'd figure it out later in games and it would look better. So yeah, I mean, interesting to track starting the season, but man, in parts of last year what seemed uncomfortable to be where his numbers landed. He's 30 now. He'll be 31 in September. I wonder how many of these feel douchey, and we end up saying this, but Gerrit Cole is getting paid for the postseason, and that's only because his regular season floor is one of the best in baseball. Like, what's his worst season? Like a low 4 ERAs where people are jumping homers, but he'd still have a really good year.
I didn't even have it being low 4s.
I mean, I know that's like
he hasn't had an ERA in the 3s in the last 3 seasons.
I'm saying Rosa Cardoza
floor. Yeah, I mean it's
that would be like a full year of like
Just, like,
7,
bad
8,
luck.
9.
His ceiling-
Like one of them's homering every time he pitches.
G-Man is playing for there. He's just getting traded
His-
from each team for Gerrit Cole starts.
His ceiling is best pitcher in all of baseball.
Yes,
Correct, right?
that's good.
That's a good ceiling to have. I don't
That's
have
a
that. I've
good
never had
ceiling.
that. Cy Young votes. Jeez.
Yeah,
Are you worried about him against the Rays at all? Like Randy got him, G-Man Choi gets him, Meadows got him, Kiermaier got him last year.
it's
There's
okay.
a lot of guys that popped him on the Rays last year.
It'll be interesting to watch during the regular season. The G-Man thing is unbelievable. We'll see what these Rays look like. I mentioned it with the stack. The Rays can throw as many lefties as you want. So if Gerrit Cole is less effective against lefties, they can mess with him a little bit.
5 ERA versus the Rays last year.
It'll be interesting to see him against the Blue Jays too, and we'll see how this division.
And that doesn't include the 2 playoff starts.
Well, it'll be interesting to see this division's come up this year to see if the Baby Jays are really dancing where they're at. Yeah, man. I mean the only easy starts this year are going to be, no offense, but Baltimore. Their problem has always been hitting right-handed pitching, which is the majority of baseball. So we'll see, man. Get me Gerrit Cole in the playoffs, and hey, how about that? Like, basically any playoff matchup he comes into, we're feeling good about it.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
know?
he won his first 2 starts in the postseason. Then he took the ball, short rest, game 5, went 5 innings, pitched 1 earned run.
Yeah.
Pretty good. The Yankees lost 2-1 on the Chapman homer at the end. So he had 9 Ks in 5 innings. Like
It was Meadows that clipped him, right?
Yeah,
And it
Meadows,
was kind of wasn't fluky, but
yeah. Let's see what Baseball Reference is projecting him to have
Ooh.
with 73% reliability. Is that
Okay.
the highest we've had so far?
We had someone who was
Someone
like
have
an
76,
80, right?
80. Wow.
I think DJ, they had like an 81.
Yeah, they
were
or
talking
something.
about
All right.
him.
Whoever we did last, Chad was I think 75.
But this is up there.
So they have
But
him
Chad
with
was
a
low. They-
3.17 ERA,
317.
3.17
Yeah.
in 179 innings pitched, which would be a little less than usual. And I think that's a little fair because of the workload situation.
Yeah.
But
Coming off the short year, they don't want people increasing too much.
I think he's going to throw 200 innings. I don't think they care.
He's probably good.
Yeah, I think he's. If there's like 5 pitchers that you're going to be like, those guys will probably get their workload in, I think Gerrit Cole's
Yeah,
in
if
that group.
there's a favorite in baseball, and yeah, doing some contract stuff, positive spin zone, not throwing a full year last year. Maybe that adds a little extra tread on his tires going forward as he ages on that big contract we gave him. But
You know what? They have him bringing his home run per 9 down a lot, which is nice.
that's huge. Yeah, man. I mean, this is kind of what I'm saying. Like, this projection could have said 15-6. It could have said 14-9. It could have said 2.9. It could have said 3.4 ERA, and I don't really care. It's just, in October, who are you throwing to, and how good do you look?
Obviously, we have Yankees warp brains with injuries, so
Sure.
like, I say this, and then I'm like, I guess we don't really need it because you just want it for the postseason. I'd like a 2017 Sevy situation where we just have an ace go pole to pole like the full season. Like he doesn't really miss
that'd be great.
doesn't really miss a start, and he's just like once a week we get to sit back and be like, it's Cole day.
Yeah, I would. I'll say this, with the Yankees talking about 6-man rotation and some of that funny business stuff, I would like to see if Gerrit can lean into that, because it is going to be an increased workload, and we don't know how that's going to affect guys this year. So if the Yankees do some 7-day rest stuff, I hope Garrett's okay with that. Or how about the first couple times he does a 6-day rest or something like that, he has a good start, so it's not like Garrett's got to go every 5th day, because if Gerrit goes every 5th day and then in October he's tired, I won't be a happy clam.
You won't be happy?
If he's sleepy on the mound, it's like taking a nap.
Taking a nap.
We're playing a game.
Game's going. Higgy has to pour water on him? No.
Higgy would never.
No. That's Gerrit Cole's PPP. I'm expecting him to have a good year. If I had to put a number on it, I'd say 2.95 ERA.
Okay.
Because I'm not demanding too much out of him. I don't need his best season ever. I don't need Cy Young. I just need a World Series victory. It would
Do
be
we
nice
have
to have.
Max's over under?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that I was also going to ask if you did the one stat you're keeping an eye on for him.
Home runs. per 9. If
like
anything, because in the postseason, home runs beat you. And he gave up a home run to G-Man Choi. He gave up a home run to Randy Rosarena. He gave up a home run to Josh Naylor. He gave up a home run to Austin Meadows in the postseason. Those are all the runs. Now they won those games, so a lot of it doesn't matter, besides the Meadows one. But yeah, I'd like that to be cut down, especially because a lot of it came from guys who shouldn't have been beating them.
Yeah. Yeah, Max put ERA at 2.75, which is that's a tidy one.
I'll take the over because I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hold that to him.
Right.
Full
and
season
if it,
with Yankee Stadium as his home park.
And if I get it wrong and it's the under, I win.
Yeah, I like that.
So you take the over.
Over.
Okay.
A winning over.
A winning over is the decision. Thank you, Researcher Max. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We'll be back again tomorrow with another player profile and projection. Gerrit Cole's good. Tune in.
Really good.
Skinnier than I think.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes when I see him, his waist, I'm like, hey, he's more tapered than I thought he was.
Pinstripes.
Crack my back. Look at this.
I like it.
How'd they know?
They know.